Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. It's Education Saturday. Hey, welcome by Black for Life family to the very first Education Saturday of 2021, child. Y'all, we missed y'all. All right, let me speak for myself. I missed y'all last Saturday. I was like, child, I'm supposed to be on Education Saturday. We did schedule Education Saturday. If you are just coming in, comment in the chat. Let me know where you are joining from. Hello, everybody. I see you all coming in. Welcome. As you're coming in again, please comment. Let me know where you're joining from. We have a very special guest today who I'm excited to be in conversation with. But before we welcome this person on, I want to let you know to like and invite. So like this video and invite other people, maybe friends, family, co-workers here to this group. This is the premier online space for BIPOC business owners to connect with their clients and customers. And so we want as many people here as we can stand, child. We gonna hit. We're at 170,000 plus now. We're looking to hit 300, child. We gonna smash that. They go to 500,000, and we want to be at 1 million by the end of 2021. That's what we are speaking in abundance. We want all of our folks here, and so like and invite. Also on January 30th here in Buy Black for Life. We have partnered with the Melanated Exchange Market, and we are hosting them as for their virtual shopping blitz. And so that's going to be from 12 to 4 on January 30th here in the group. If you are a vendor, if you're a business owner and you're interested in having a slot with them, their email is the melanated exchange market at yahoo.com. The melanated exchange market at yahoo.com. There is also an event in the group that has that information, and we'll continue to post so you will see it throughout the group. Additionally, promotions are available. Right now, we offer it through our Instagram page. And so if you are a business owner and you would like to have your business promoted in the Buy Black for Life space, please email us at buyblackforlife@gmail.com. We want to send love today to all of our co-founders, but specifically to Jerome. There was a death of a friend of the family, and the services are today. So Jerome, we love you. We're sending love to you and to the family, all of those affected by this loss. There's been so much loss that we get to like acknowledge it, and there's been so much abundance. And so now I want to bring our guest to the stage. Bringing our guest to the stage. All right, look, he bought me. All right.
Hey,
Can you already tell that he's a music person? With the whoa. Today we have with us Jimmy Jones, who I'm so excited to have here. You might see a little resemblance in this Jones fineness. I'm a Porterfield by
little
marriage,
something, something,
and the
little.
last name is Jones. And this is my baby brother, my baby brother, who goes by the name of Jimmy Jones. Welcome to the space, bro.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. It's a
Oh,
pleasure
look,
and an
now,
honor.
first of all, he gonna try to act shy. Okay, he gonna try to act shy. He likes doing behind the scenes stuff, and so being on the camera, child, that's different for him. And so I want to introduce him here to this space. And so I'm gonna let him tell all about himself. Of course, as his big sister and just someone, just seeing him navigate through the world and create his career in music. I am so proud of him because, child, I was the one that had to deal with him watching Sister Act 2, 300, 5 million times. And the Blues Brothers, let's not forget the Blues Brothers 2000. Oh, and the Wiz Child, the Wiz.
2000.
When
That's
I
the
tell
one.
y'all he ran that VHS
The
till it
Wiz,
broke,
can't forget about that one.
that thing broke. And so Jimmy Jones, please introduce yourself to the group. And oh, wait, hold on. Before we get there, so y'all saw the flyer, right? I did this nice flyer. I used my little graphic designer skills, right? So I text my brother. I said to him, what do I put on? I know these things. I know to put music producer. I know you're Grammy nominated as a bassist, and he'll tell us more about that. And then he put this thing, moderator of United Masters of Greatness Club Incorporated. So I'm sitting there like, oh, like, he ain't never told me about that before. I'm interested to know what this is. He was playing. This is why you can't do business with family. This because they be playing and they don't and they forget to tell you they was playing. So to clarify, he
Oh
is
man.
not the moderator of the United Masters of Greatness Club, but we might have to look into the Greatness Club. But
Right,
we might have
I'm
to
gonna
look
have to
into
work on that.
creating that.
I'm gonna have to
But
work on that.
however, comma, he is a music producer, a Grammy nominated bassist, and the co-owner of Blck Mrcy Recordings. Child, he got papers on this stuff, all right? He ain't that part is. I was cracking. Oh, it was so funny. So now that we got all of that out of the way,
Right.
Jimmy, please tell us about yourself and about how you have arrived where you are so as far as the music business is concerned. And just so you know, we have several musicians, artists, different types of artists in the group. And folks aspiring to like have their own record labels and things of that nature. So make sure you include all the good tidbits.
Uh, first off, I want to thank God for giving me life and strength. I feel like he's definitely the most important factor in my life. Um, I would also like to thank Bob Black for Life for having me. I would like to thank my sister Jamie. I would like to thank Brother Jerome for inviting me for today. Um, I guess my my love for music really started as a child. From what I can remember, I think it really started watching my father play organ and piano, and like hearing my
Shout
mother
out to
sing at church.
Daddy.
Shout out to mommy and daddy, the goats.
Yeah, word.
um, yeah, he would do services and he would be playing organ and have me sitting on one side, Jamie sitting on the other side. And that's really when it started. I gravitated towards the drums first, just because it was the loudest thing around. And then and then my I guess that just expanded my want and my hunger, for a better term,
Mm.
my hunger to learn and to just become a musician. That was like the first goal, just to become a musician. It did. And so I started with drums and then I moved on to piano, I think. Then I tried guitar for a little while. And it wasn't until I was about 21 where I started really taking bass guitar seriously. And
Mm.
that's when I guess everything started really coming together and clicking. Um, because I found myself, I already had a love for music, but I have a passion for bass. It's like I love
Mm,
playing bass. So um so that's really when it's like everything started coming together. I started meeting more people, um and being put in a position where honestly I really wasn't ready. My first gig on bass, I didn't really even know the notes on the fretboard. So I was
oh
really
wow.
playing by ear for like the first
Mm,
2 years. Like if somebody called a note, if somebody say, "Hey, can you play a C sharp?" I wouldn't know where that was on the
mm,
bass.
mm-hmm.
But if I hear it, oh, okay, C sharp is right there. So I started, thanks to YouTube, I started really honing in on my craft and learning more about my instrument. And then that led me to more opportunities, thankfully. Um, I think, I guess the biggest question is, how did I get hooked up with Miss Velvet and the Blue Wolf? That's the name of the rock band that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it started out as me, um, actually, it was just like a fill-in type of situation. I went to a
Wow.
rehearsal with a friend of mine. Both of us were actually called in to fill in for the drummer and the bass player that was on the gig. And we went to the rehearsal. The rehearsal was good. We went to do the gig, and the day after the gig, the management called me and said, "So yeah, we're putting this together a band for um to do like some recordings, and we wanted you to be the bass player." So I asked, I was like, "Is it full time?" And he was like, "Yeah, full time. You'll be compensated for everything that you do."
Wow.
And the second question I asked was, "Why me?"
Mm,
And because I still to this day, as a musician, I feel like you never stop learning. You never
mm,
get to the place of where you are maxed out. Like that doesn't happen. Um,
so good.
Even if you know all your scales and all your theory, it's different nuances to music that can always be differently approached. So I just didn't feel like I was at the place of somebody wanting me.
Wow.
So when they explained why they wanted me,
Mm,
I felt a lot more encouraged, and that even that made a pivotal mark on me making my decision to join the band. The way that they viewed me and my playing.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so yeah, that is
Wow.
my musical journey in nutshell.
Yeah. So the band that Jimmy plays for is called Miss Velvet, excuse me. I was like Miss Velvet. Miss Velvet and the Blue Wolf. They are a Grammy nominated international rock group. James has traveled. I don't know if you want to name some of the countries because I don't know all of them. I just knew he was somewhere in the future. I used to call him like, "You in the future, child." So where are some of the places that
16 hours ahead.
yeah, so where are some of the countries, places that you've been able to visit as a result of touring with Miss Velvet and the Blue Wolf?
Um, okay. The UK. So I would consider UK would be like going to England, Scotland, Ireland, um, Amsterdam, uh, Japan, Australia, Estonia,
Hmm.
um, France.
Wow.
Um, I'm sorry if it's taking some time. So, because sometimes these tours are all mushed together. So it's like you're going to all these cities back to back, and then
Mhm.
sometimes it's
And
like,
it just,
when did
where
I?
was I?
You trying to recall it, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that too. Sometimes you don't even know where you are. because it's like days start running into each other. But yeah,
Mm,
I've been afforded and blessed to visit many countries due to my gift and being able to
yeah.
include
And I
in
wanna
this
jump
band
to
and
this
with
part.
other acts.
Yes, I want to jump to this part because I know personally what meeting this person meant for you and means to you to have access to this person in your life. Um and I remember something specifically happening in Japan around this person, right? And so the person that I'm speaking of
Hmm.
is the legendary. I mean, I have so much respect for this man, the legendary George Clinton. And so Jimmy has, and I hope that you'll share with us what it was like being in the studio with him. But Jimmy has had the honor and privilege to sit and talk and make music with George Clinton, right? And I remember being little, right? So my brother and I were 18 months apart, and so we're pretty much stair steps, right? So I was always just one grade ahead of him in school, and we would come home from
Hmm.
school, and there was always a movie, right, that we were on. And if this was the movie we were watching that movie every day for at least 3 months. That's how we
Right.
did things, right? Like we just wasn't gonna switch around, right? We was watching the same thing over and over. One of those
Right.
movies was Good Burger, and George Clinton is in a couple of scenes
Hmm.
in Good Burger in the psychiatric ward, and I can remember you mimicking him. I can remember you creating your own. My
Hmm.
brother is very creative. He would create microphone stands out of aluminum foil and paper towel rolls. Like he would create robes and costumes out of, I don't know, cardboard, like whatever he could find. He was
Anything.
he was creating to emulate, the musical expression that he saw. And George Clinton was one of those people, and James started from very young studying his music. So we were like, and he will all I had to be roped into it, right? So whoever he found out about, I learned about. And so as he learned about George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic, he shared information with me and shared songs. So we was like 10 listening to Flashlight like, and Atomic Dog and
Flashlight.
all
Right.
of like
Right.
10 for real. We were like 10. And so what was that experience like of being in the presence of such greatness?
Um, that was mind blowing. So number one, even I never thought that that would be possible. Like the two
Mm,
and two would come together. Um, but shout out to our the band's manager Connie, who I love dearly. She is just as much of a George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic fan as anybody. And when we first started recording our first album, we actually recorded our first album in the same studio that Parliament used to record all of their albums at. It's called United Sound Studios. It's in Detroit. And it's also, so Motown had their Hitsville building, but as they became more prominent within the music industry, Hitsville only has one studio room. So they, of course, had to commission other studios for their studio sessions. And Sounds is one of those places as well. So it's a lot of history in that building. And that's one reason why Connie wanted to record our album there. And then
wow.
when we were there, she said, I really hope and pray that one day we can open up at least for one show with George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. So it was just thrown out there, and we was all like, yeah. And me, I was like, yes, yes, because that's something I would love to see at the time. I was like, this is something I would love to see.
Mhm.
And fast forward about a year, we had done a couple of shows, and somebody that our publisher knew George Clinton. or knew his publisher or something like that, and we had just put out our album, and they gave the publisher our album and asked to give it to George. So a couple of months go by, and we were in rehearsal, and our manager goes, she's like, "So I have some exciting news. George Clinton heard our album and he loves it." And that for
Wow.
me, I was like, that's good enough. Like I didn't need to hear anything else. And then fast forward a couple of months, we got the call to open up for him in at BB King's before it was closed. They did like a couple of shows to, round up the closing of BB King's, and he was one of
Mm.
the performers that they called. And something happened last minute
Wow.
with the person that was supposed to open up for him. They couldn't make it, and we got the call, and then we did that one. It was only supposed to be that one show. Then we did another show, I think like 2 days later in DC, and then it was, hey, can y'all come out on tour with us? And that was just when it was like, whoo, okay, this is like for real. And mind you, I hadn't
Mm.
had the moment to meet him or anything. I would just see him walking by, and it was just like awestruck. And that doesn't happen for me. Like I don't really get awestruck, but for me, it's like a lot of people, yeah, we know his music, but what he meant to black music as a
Mm.
whole, I think, and what he did as a businessman in black music, I think
Mm.
that that was extraordinary. He had 5 or 6 different artists, all under different all under different record labels, but it was like he was the master of the pop. So he has Brides of Funkenstein, he has Paulette, he has Parliament, and then Funkadelic. It's two separate bands. Like so,
Oh wow, I
Parliament
didn't
is
know
signed
that.
under one label. Funkadelic, yeah. Funkadelic is signed under another label. He himself, as George Clinton, is signed under another label. So it's so many different entities under that one umbrella, and that to me was like uh so dope to see, like a conglomerate of black artists, black musicians, black singers, entertainers coming together and creating this mega force. Like so I really took a liking into that, and he's been somebody I admired for a very, very long time. Um, so I think you were alluding to in Japan, we were
Mm.
shooting a music video for a song that he's featured on, and we were outside shooting around in Japan and everything, and around 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, we finished wrapping up, and so now it's like he was ready to go back to his hotel. But that night, he didn't have his valet with him. And so I was given the duty of being his valet for the night. And
Wow.
so Connie, uh, at the beginning of the night, she calls me downstairs to the hotel lobby,
Mm.
and we were in the video shoot. We were wearing suits, so I had on the whole suit. I had on a hat, and I'm decked out and
Yo,
everything. So she's
that
like,
joint was
"You
dope.
look like." Thank you, thank you. She was like, "You look ready." She was like, "You look so debonair, and you're gonna love this." So George doesn't have a valet tonight, and I suggested that you be his valet, and him and his wife most assuredly agreed to that. So I was just like,
Oh my
whoa.
god.
So the fact that, and I had knew that he knew me because it's a difference when somebody sees you, and especially when you're on the road or when you're a musician. It's different when somebody sees you, but for them to know who you are. And Jamie, you know this, but my favorite bass player is Bootsy Collins. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
the epitome of bass. Like to me,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. And so there was when you're on when you're working with other bands, you develop a repertoire and friendship and relationship. So I developed a friendship with other members in Parliament Funkadelic, and they would be like, "Hey man, you know George is like you, the young Bootsy," and I'm like,
Wow.
"Whoa!" Like, that just like is
Yeah.
breathtaking. So I was really honored to even know that he knew who I was. So I was given the task of being his valet, and
Hmm.
it would just be like me, him, his wife in the car, and I'm just sitting there like I'm sitting right next to George
Oh,
Clinton.
I
Like
cannot imagine what that was
this
like.
is pretty crazy. And
Wow.
then he's just, but he's so down to earth. He's so pleasant to be around. He's like
Mm,
it's really like just kicking it, not not in a disrespectful way, but it's like kicking it with your grandfather. It's like just
mm,
having conversation, normal. He's telling jokes. He's telling you, and then it's gems thrown out, and then there's memories thrown out just through his conversation. His memory is so sharp. He remembers things like it was yesterday and vivid, clear as day. Like there's no
wow.
skips or there's no I can't remember. It's he remembers dates,
Mhm,
places, like
mhm.
of all the places that he's been. Like you can name a song and he can tell you exactly where he wrote that song, what feeling he was going through, what was
Wow.
going on in the world around that time. We was in Hawaii on tour, and he took us, the both bands, Parliament Funkadelic and Miss Velvet and the Blue Wolf. He took us on a fishing trip. So we're all out on this boat in the middle of the ocean, and he just starts talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I remember. This is where," and they had the radio playing, so they playing, of course, Parliament Funkadelic
Mhm.
and other artists under his name. So one of the songs started playing, and he was like, "Wow, I actually wrote that out here." And he started telling the story of how he wrote the song, why he wrote the song, what was going on, and yeah, so it's pretty amazing for me to be afforded
Yeah.
the blessing to have this
Mhm.
opportunity to be in these places with the people that I've grown up watching and admiring.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure that like we got to that point because there is a faction of folks who feel and think that the musicians of today, right, the record execs of today, the artists of today, right, have no like regard, right, for the legends who have come before them, right. And
Hmm.
so I wanted to make sure that
Oh
we
no,
got to share, right, this. And George Clinton isn't the only person
absolutely.
for James like this, like who he feels like this about. So and I know you mentioned George and Bootsy, but who are some of your other influences, whether they be
Yes.
musicians, artists, or even like how black music businessmen or
Whew.
business people.
That's a pretty long list, but mhm. To keep it, I guess, short, um, my musical influences, number one would be Daddy,
Hmm.
um, because he's the one that implanted everything. Even when I got into the old, well, as we would call the old school music, he curated that. He gave me
Mm,
records and gave me CDs and took me places to go nurture that, and to
mm,
nurture my love for music. So he's
yes.
definitely number one. I would say artists such as the Temptations, the Jackson Five, um,
Mm.
Parliament Funkadelic, Earth, Wind and Fire. Um, whew,
That's good music right there.
it's right, and then for me, I have to break music up into periods. So
Mm,
like I would say like the 60s and 70s, 80s are like the golden age. Um,
Mm,
to me, my favorite period of music is the 80s. I feel like that's when technology and musicianship really met at a
yeah.
beautiful meeting. Um,
Mm,
because it's like it was enough technology for you to be able to manipulate things, but you still had to have the musicianship to know and to get the proper job done.
mm,
Um, so I would say like of that era, yeah, it would be for me, it would be like the Temptations, Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament Funkadelic. Um, I love Aretha Franklin, um, uh, Betty White. I mean Betty Davis. Sorry, that's Miles, one of Miles Davis's wives, but she was an extraordinary singer.
oh
Um,
wow.
Whitney Houston. Oh, I love
Mm,
Whitney. Janet Jackson. It's I love Janet Jackson to the point where I actually named one of my basses after her. It's pretty bad. Her and Sade. Her and
Her and
Sade,
Sade.
they're like they got me.
That's
um,
so funny.
then like then we then we can move into the 80s. Like the Zapp and Roger, the New Editions, the Babyface, the Patrice Rushen, Chic. I mean, it's so many, and then there's artists in other genres that I enjoy too. The Led Zeppelins, the Guns N' Roses, the Kiss, the
The Beatles. Don't
man,
leave
it's
out the
yeah, it's
Beatles.
the Beatles. Yes, I definitely went through my Beatles phase for like
Y'all,
6 months.
it's been a
So
hard
yeah, it's
day's night.
just
I still remember that song. And I've been
day
working
night,
like a
and
dog.
I've been working like a dog. That's when I had the double cassette from the library. I went and got that from the library. I remember that.
That's so
Yeah,
funny.
so I mean, for me to like name,
Mm-hmm.
for me
No,
to
no.
like, I guess name one artist, it would
Mm-hmm.
be really hard because I listen to so much, and then there's gospel. Like I love
Mm-hmm.
gospel to the point where like I tell everybody, gospel is the best genre of music there is.
Oh
And
wow.
I say, not even being cocky or
Mm-hmm.
arrogant, I feel like the best musicians come from gospel.
I
Um,
agree.
I
I
feel
agree.
like
And the best
we
singers.
are, I feel like, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I feel like between gospel musicians and jazz musicians, but even more so gospel musicians, I feel like we're prepared for anything because the way church is set up. You don't know what that Sunday is going to hold. It might be we
Mm-hmm.
singing hymns all day, or we're singing contemporary music, or we're singing gospel choir,
Mm-hmm.
Hezekiah, John P. Key, James Hall, Ricky Dillard stuff. Or so it's like you have to be adaptable to any. So when I'm in these spaces where I'm looked at and it's like we're the we're on the bill with other rock bands and they're looking at me like, can you handle this stuff? And it's like, yeah, like yeah, we I play this all the time. Like we play
Mm-hmm.
this in church all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like gospel music is just so, and then the feeling that gospel music comes with. Of course, we know it as the anointing, but
Mm-hmm.
the feeling that gospel music comes with, there's nothing that matches that. Um, so I just feel like there's so many influences for me personally. I can't
Mm-hmm.
really narrow it down to one. I just know that it's a real big pot of gumbo, musical gumbo. That's what I call it. It's just
I love
a
that
bit of
musical
everything
gumbo.
just coming from me. Yeah, it's just a bit of
Yeah.
everything coming from everywhere. Because even now today, there are artists and producers and musicians that I love, and some of them are well known. Some of them people wouldn't
Mhm.
know at all. So,
Mhm. You talked about musical gumbo, and I want to talk about how that influences how you produce music, because in the last couple of years you've stepped heavily into the music production aspect, right? So you started as a musician,
mhm,
right? And that was the goal, right? And then at some point you began
mhm,
to become
right.
interested in producing music, right? So, um, what made you want to produce music? And what's your approach? Like, how do you come
Mhm.
to a song? In creating it.
Um, mhm. I think first became aware of music production. Um, wow. So it's two people that were very instrumental in pulling me into production. First, I would have to say is Phil Howard. We know him as Nut, Big Bro. Who I love Phil dearly because man, he really, when people say like somebody took them under the wing, he
Mm,
really took
mm,
me under his wing and
mm,
really just started teaching me, bringing me I can't remember, I can't even name how many studio sessions I went to with him and just sat and watched and learned. Um, so he was the first person that really brought me into the awareness of music production, what it is to be a producer. Um, that being a producer is being more than just being a beat maker, that there's a difference between making beats
mm,
and being a producer. And not to knock people who just make beats or who are beat composers, as I call them, because it's not easy work. Whether you're just the composer of the beat or you're the producer. Um, and then I was in high school in an alternative program for high school called
mm,
YABC. And through that, we had internships. And I was in the music internship, and
mm,
I guess the leader of that internship, his name is Providence David, and he's a rapper, a poet, um, all around businessman, and a music producer as well, an audio engineer. And me doing that internship with him, and I think if I recall, I think the internship came first, but it was like right after that I ran into Nut. So it was like everything that I learned
mm,
in that internship, I was able to carry it over, and then Nut just helped me expand on it. And then I went to IAR, Institute of Audio Research.
mm,
And so, like, those two people, and then going to school really, like, confirmed me, like, okay, this is what I want to do. And production for me is just, it gives me the chance to be creative.
mm,
I love being able to sit at my computer with a keyboard or just my bass and start out with one little line or some chords and then see where that can go and then to see
mm,
the finished product of it. And then now that I'm getting to the point where I'm working with artists, to see that become a song, it's a
mm,
beautiful thing. Like
mm,
from to watch it from start to finish is a beautiful thing.
mm,
And I used to like, as you said, we would watch movies all the time, all day
mm,
long. And I was very moved by film scores, especially The Wiz. That one,
mm,
to me, that's the greatest film score, one of the greatest film scores I've
mm,
ever heard. Um, and the way that Quincy Jones was able to apply mood and feeling to the music and to the
Mhm.
scene. And
Yeah.
through just music, it was just like, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to create music that, whether you're watching a movie or not, you can create a scene from.
Mhm.
So
That's beautiful.
production for me is just, yeah, it's just a way from of me of being creative. And then with that creativity comes the influences that I've had.
Got you.
Um, so from day to day, it might vary. One day I might be feeling very hip hop. One day I might be feeling like I want to do something rock and roll. And that's what I love about production. I don't have to be tied into one thing or be known for one thing. Um, do I feel like my strong point, or I'm strong in other areas than stronger in other areas than I am in some? Yes, absolutely. I think that all musicians, all producers, anything that you do in life, period, you're going to be strong in some areas and a little weaker in other areas, but you can always work on those areas and become better at them. Um, so yeah, it's just a way for me to, if I feel like being hip hop with a little bit of funk and a little bit of rock, then I can do that. And then
Mhm.
the fun part comes, how do I do that? How do I do that in Jimmy's way? How do I uh, do that authentically as me?
Mhm. Yeah, that's good stuff. Oh man. I we haven't had a conversation in a while about music specifically. And so to hear the way
Mhm.
that you now express the musical experience, I'm like, you better go ahead. Like, I'm over here like hyping you up in my brain. And so so we talked about the production aspect, right? And seeing a song start off as a chord, right? Or a note, right? And seeing it become this beautiful, almost
Mhm.
like a tapestry, right? These notes and chords
Right,
that have
right,
been
exactly.
weaved together, right? To become a song. And then you messed around and became a co-owner of a record label, right? And so can you share with the audience? He's
Woo,
like, can you share with the
woo.
audience about what that is like? Because for a lot of people, we think that it has to be a bad boy, it has to be a Rockefeller, it has to be a Motown, right? Like it has to be an Atlantic, right? It has to be an Atlantic Records, or all of these large um record labels that we know of. So what
Entities,
inspired,
yeah.
and I know it's a group of y'all who came together and created this record label, but what inspired y'all, and what
Mhm.
has the experience been like thus far of being a co-owner of a record label?
Um, honestly, that was never a part of my plan personally. Um, I my plan was to do music production. I've always wanted to be a bassist, but not hopping from gig to gig. I wanted to be in a band, a part of a unit. So once I had those two things, I was like, okay, let me just keep on working on this production. Let me keep doing this bassing. We gonna be all right. um, so the label is kind of it's a long history to it. It's okay. Let me shorten it. So about it started with about seven of us: me, Matthew, Josh, Travis, Aaron, Desmond, and Junior. And
Mhm.
we started as Varsity Boys, and we were a live band with rapping,
Mhm.
singing. A lot of people said we were like a mesh between NERD and the Roots. mixed with
Mm.
like some Parliament Funkadelic and some Earth, Wind, and Fire. But we just wanted to create something new and authentic to us. We are
Mhm.
musicians. We love playing our instruments, but we also love programmed beats and programmed rhythms and programmed production. We are children of the Timberland age, the Neptunes, the Kanye West. We are bred of that. The Q-Tips, the J Dilla. So it was really just coming from a place of that. So we started as the band, and we would get offered like little management deals or record label deals, and we would go in to these meetings, and it was just like everybody was trying to, and thankfully, sorry, but thankfully we knew what we had. We
Mm.
knew that we were something different. We're something new.
Mhm.
Um, we are, I would say that my brothers are some of the greatest musicians I've ever heard in my life.
I agree. I agree.
Junior, Josh,
Mhm.
Travis. Junior and Josh are like phenomenal drummers. Travis
Mhm.
is a phenomenal guitar player. Matthew is a phenomenal lyricist. Desmond and Aaron are phenomenal at business and
Mm.
and uh and their business
And
minds.
marketing. Yeah.
So we knew what we right, right, and marketing exactly. So we knew what we had, and we knew that we were a self-contained entity. At the time, our motto was all we need is a studio because everything else we can handle ourselves. We can engineer, we can mix, we can play our own instruments, we can do our own production. Everything is self-contained. So we would go to these
Mhm.
meetings and they're like, "Oh yeah, so we want 60% or we want 70%." And it's just like, for what? For you putting your name on it? Like,
Mhm.
and then a lot of the times it was like, okay, we can give y'all money for studio time and we want to see that money back, which is understandable. That's really like an advance money. That's really what your advance money is supposed to go towards, building your album. So you're supposed to use your advance money to pay for your studio time, pay the producers, pay the songwriters, etc. But it
Mhm.
was just like we would be getting these crazy contracts, and it's just like, no, we don't want to do this. So we just kept denying everyone. And after a while, we was just like, we came of age, and everybody started making sufficient funds. So I was just like, I was I would constantly preach like, hey, we need our own studio. We need our own studio. And that's as far as it went for me. Like we just need a studio. But
Mhm.
Matthew, I have to credit Matthew. Um, I said that one day. I think we was like either all together or we was on FaceTime, group FaceTime. And I said, man, we just need to go ahead and get our own studio. And Matthew was like, we need to start our own label. And
Wow.
everybody got quiet because it hit a different nerve that time. And we really, when he said it, it was really like a thought, like,
Mm.
you're actually right. You're actually 100% correct. So then we just went and did our due diligence. We did our research. We found out what we needed to do to become a legitimate business. So we got our LLC set up. We got our bank account set up, and yeah, we just hit the road and started working with different artists. And we put out our first project last year called
Mm.
001. It's a compilation of all the Black Mercy artists. Um, and so, yeah, we just decided to, instead of looking for an opportunity or looking for the proper opportunity, we created our own opportunity. Um, and I feel like that is super important. And it's something that I know that we learned from, of course, our elders
Yeah.
Um, and then the fact that we stuck together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I feel like a lot of times, especially young black men, we feel like we have to take on the whole world by ourselves, and we have to make our dreams happen alone. And it's not always the case. And I've always found that when you do it with others, it always becomes so much beautiful because now you
Mm-hmm.
have other eyes and ears that can give you a difference, that can make a change that you really needed. Um,
Yeah.
so I just feel like that alone was just like, yeah, this is something that I really want to be a part of, and this is something I want to do. It's not something that I thought of, but
Mm-hmm.
hey, let's do it. And I can say that I'm proud and I'm happy that we did that. Because now
That's
we
amazing.
basically, yeah, yeah.
Mhm. I I know that I've told you before, but I want to tell you in front of all of these people, look, all of these people that's here. I am so proud of y'all, and like what you said when you were talking, um, you basically what you said was we didn't wait for them to give us a seat at the table, right? And the seat at the table that they were
Oh
trying to
yeah,
give,
no.
they were trying they would have owned your masters, right? You wouldn't have owned your own music,
Hmm.
right? And it would put you in a different place where you have to go to them and ask them for your music, right? To put your music, in different arenas.
Not not
And
to
so
cut
what I
you.
heard you say in that
Right.
is that, like, we created our own, we came together and we created our own table, right? Nobody can come and take Black Mercy away from
Hmm.
y'all. It's something that y'all have created. And shout out to all of the bros. Y'all know I love y'all. Um, but
Shout out to my
it's a
brothers.
place for y'all to be. And so for folks in the group, if you are interested in working with Black Mercy, if you are an artist, a producer, a singer, right? Now I ain't saying they going to accept you, all right? You got to go through the
Mhm.
proper channels, all right? But you can follow them on all social media at Black Mercy. And it's BLCKMRCY is Black Mercy. And also, if you want to hear examples of their work, London McCoy is one of their artists. Ashton Martin is one of their artists. Who are some of the other artists? 'Cause I don't remember them all, but I know London and Ashton.
Eli Smith, AZ Addict. He's a rapper. We have Queso. We also have Black Mercy, the band, which features Trav F, myself, Preach Gold, and Concept. Um, and yes, those are the artists that we are currently working with at this one.
Yes, and they are based in Brooklyn, New York. So again, if you want to work with them, child, y'all going there, y'all gonna pay them for the, y'all know what I always say. Y'all gonna pay them for their services, all right? So don't go to them like, oh, I saw you on Buy Black for Life. You know what I'm saying? Can you do a record for free? No, he can't. He's- he got money, he gotta make money to give to his sister now play. So, one last question.
Right.
One last question. I having grown up, like you said, our father is a musician. He is an amazing organist. He getting old now, child, but not he's still an amazing,
Amazing.
accomplished organist. He's a graduate
Amazing.
of the High School of Performing Arts. He has played in Carnegie Hall. Um, he was a part of Juilliard, so he's like on that level, right? Of a musician. And I know that there are so many lessons that come out of music, right? So I'm curious to know what is one something that you learned right through music that has helped you in life?
Um, be humble and treat people well.
Mm.
Um, I feel like I feel like a lot of musicians. Number one, I don't believe that anyone is as great as Jesus. So I'm not gonna put myself in a place where I feel like I'm just this great person, no matter what I do. Because number one, there's always somebody that's better than you, and there's always something you can learn. There's 13, 14-year-old boys out here, girls out here that will clean me up on bass. And I've seen videos on Instagram, and I'm sure everybody at this point has seen social media with just with the flourish of talent that is
Mhm.
worldwide. And so I don't ever let myself get to the point where I feel like I'm better than anybody or anything. I just like I'm here to do a job and I'm here to take what my elders have given me and just go to the next level with. I think the biggest thing, well, one of the biggest things to me that's always encouraged me is daddy's attitude towards me being a musician. He never felt like he was gonna get outshined or anything. Daddy's has always told me, I've played at Carnegie Hall, I want you to play at Madison Square Garden. Like I want
Yeah.
you to take what I did and supersede it to the maximum.
Mhm.
And to me, that's just my job. Like I feel like that that it's just been so much done before me that I can't be this high and mighty. Like I feel like humility is super, super important, and not just because it sounds good or it sounds cool. No, like for real, like it's really something that's embedded in me. Like I think, well, mommy and daddy just embedded that into us amongst
Mhm.
other things as children,
Mhm.
just humility and not being big-headed and arrogant and cocky. Yes, you can be self you
Like
can believe in
confident.
yourself and you can,
Mhm.
yes, the knowledge of self and self-confidence, but
Mhm.
you're never to look down on anybody or
Right.
to be degrading to anybody. Like that's not allowed. Um, so yeah, that's number one, humility, and number two is treat people right. Um, I feel like a lot of people get to these areas in life where they're so great at whatever they do that they can treat people any old type of way. And I don't come from that type of background. I wasn't raised like that.
Mhm.
Um, Daddy has always taught us, mommy and daddy has always taught us to treat people with respect, no matter race, color, religious beliefs,
That's right.
anything. Like you respect people for who they are. Like people are people.
Mhm.
And I just feel like that is lost, especially when people become more successful or more prominent in life or in their areas of expertise or just in their areas that they work in. I feel like people start treating people otherwise or they treat people less than. And that's just not something that I'm a believer in. And
Yeah.
I've seen people get kicked off of gigs for things like that, just for not being humble or just not being,
Mhm.
because people, if I'm on tour with you for 2 months or 3 months, I don't want to be on tour with
Yeah.
somebody that can't even be courteous or can't be
Mhm.
considerate
Mhm.
or just, can't be like, I, And no person wants to pay somebody to be an annoyance. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
have to pay you to be an annoyance, I will send you home and
Right.
get somebody who plays less as good as you. They could be half as good as you. But if they have a way better attitude than you, then they're more welcome because
Mm-hmm.
that's really at the end of the day, it's all about attitude. And I I was I read the Bible often, and I'm not like a Bible scripture quoter. Like that's not my purpose to read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really exactly quote the scripture, but it was Jesus was like talking, and he was basically saying like, "Yo, everybody needs to stay humble and watch how you treat people."
Mm-hmm.
And that was like his, and to me, that is what stands out to me above all about Jesus. Like as great as he was,
Mm-hmm.
like he could breathe life into somebody. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like so, if he wasn't cocky, I
Right.
have no right to be
Mm-hmm.
cocky or arrogant about picking up a bass and playing a couple of notes. Like I can't
Mm-hmm.
give life to somebody. I can't give miracles to somebody. I
Mm-hmm.
can't change somebody's outcome in an instant the way he could. So it's just like, nah, if he wasn't that way, I have no room in at all to even think of myself that way. So yeah, those are the two most important things that music has taught me to just be humble and to treat people properly.
I think that is so good, and I think that's a great point to end on, right? As we are starting this year, um, but for some folks, right, last year was an amazing year, and you accomplished so much success. But I think it's always important, like you said, James, to remain humble, right? And to, you said at the top of the show, you talked
Mhm.
about always knowing that there's more to learn, right? That there's like no point at which you become so accomplished that there's
Absolutely.
nothing else to learn. There's always something to add, something to learn,
Mhm.
which means that you have to remain teachable, right? Like you can't come into situations,
Absolutely.
not being humble and thinking that you know it all when
You
like
know it
a
all.
teacher don't
Hmm.
want to be a teacher at this point, right? And James talked about some current bass players that are calling. He's talking about some 11 and 12-year olds that they just
Right.
play on the internet for right now, right? Because it's a pandemic, but like amazing bassists, and he even will watch their videos, right? And he's able to learn from them. So I think that's a great, amazing point. Jimmy, I want to thank you for coming and being a guest. When I called him,
Thank you.
I was
Thank
like, "We want to have you as a guest." He was like, "What you mean you want to have me as a guest?" But I
you.
think that you're such an amazing, you're an amazing person. Period. You know that. I love you. And you're an amazing
Thank
person.
you.
Period. And as a bassist, as a producer, and now as a co-owner of a record label, you bring all of that into it. So I knew that you would give us such a fresh and different perspective, around this topic. So thank you for being here with us. You already know, but I want to let the audience know we are looking to bring the entire Blck Mrcy team on with us real soon. So maybe within the next couple of months, we'll be having them. So for our music folks here in the group, I know we kind of neglected y'all last year, but we have y'all on our radar this year for our artists and musicians and aspiring record label execs, aspiring management, right? I know there's all different types of folks here in this group, and we want to be able to give you some information and some behind the scenes, right? Tips and tricks for these things that you're looking to accomplish and manifest in your life. So, Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on with us. I'm going to
Thank you.
um,
Thank you.
and it's we'll see you again soon, child. I'm gonna make some announcements, and then we will be finishing up for today. And so if you are not buying it, following, my tongue can't work today. If you are not following Buy Black for Life on all social media platforms, please do so. We are now on. We are on. Let me just give all of them. We are here on Facebook, and on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Clubhouse. So that's the most recent news is that we are on Clubhouse. We will be hosting a room this week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. So we'll put up that post as well. But if you're on Clubhouse, please follow us at By Black for Life. And we'll be hosting a room on Wednesday. And eventually within the next couple of weeks, we'll be creating a club there as well. So child, let your friends know, let your peoples know who are with you on Clubhouse. Also, I want to reiterate the announcements that I gave at the end. Please like this video, love it, right? And invite folks to the group. And so this Education Saturday and all of our Education Saturdays are available only here within the group. And there are a few of them on our YouTube page, so you can send folks there as well. On January 30th, we will be hosting a virtual shopping blitz. We've partnered with the Melanated Exchange Market on that. And so if you are a vendor, if you are a business owner, and you would like to be a part of that virtual shopping blitz, please email the Melanated Exchange Market at yahoo.com. Additionally, we are offering promotions, paid promotions on our social media pages. And if you are interested in that, please email us at byblackforlife@gmail.com. Again, we are sending love to Jerome and to everyone else who have lost people during this pandemic, during this time. We send you love, we send prayers of healing, and we send positive vibes. And we're also praying and sending positive vibes, and doing our part to create change and transformation here in the United States. For those of you who are not here in the United States, I'm sure that you saw the news of the attempted coup in the U.S. Capitol. And it's absolutely unnerving. It's a disgusting and treasonous action that we absolutely condemn here at Buy Black for Life. And I know for us as people of color who have been the victims of violence here in America since its inception, it can be traumatic. There's such a thing as post-traumatic stress disorder, as well as post-generational trauma, right, that we are still dealing with. And for some of us, we hold it in our bodies. And so I just want to encourage us as a community to take care of ourselves. If you need to turn off the TV, turn off the TV. You don't have to continue to digest the trauma, right? The trauma that is occurring. So love on yourself, love on your people. I love y'all, and y'all know what we say at the end of every show. We do this for the love of our people. We will see y'all soon. Love y'all.